Hello humans and welcome back to another episode of Sparks the Conversation. And obviously I had to touch on this topic today. Quite a few people, clients in person, online have asked me about this. What do you think of Liver King? What do you make of it? And obviously the guy is an absolute cracker. Look at his physique. Look at him. Look at her. Literally, I know it's easy said from someone who's been in the industry for a while now, and I've spent years looking at physiques, and I've spent years when I was starting out idolizing all of these people that I knew trained, but then very soon realizing, despite my best efforts, there was something special going on here. And by special, like special supplements. As soon as I saw Liver King and as soon as I saw the popularity of him, it was obvious what was happening here. He's denied being on steroids all the way through the process. And you've got to remember, he's relatively new to the whole industry. He started in 2021. He's probably now the biggest shitfluencer on the market. And it's very easy for someone who's been in the fitness industry for a long time to obviously realize that this guy is on steroids. He looks like he's about to pop. You don't look that dry, you don't look that big all of the time. Like, if you look at the best natural athletes, they look that good one day of the year and they probably feel like shit. They're not performing really well, they're not enjoying their life, they haven't got the fucking 9 pillars of ancestral bullshit that he bangs on about all of the time. It's just not a thing. When the biggest and the best naturals in the world are training and they are getting ready for a show, they probably do look like that. Yeah, probably they look even better than that because they're doing it on their own accord, but they feel like shit. That's just the way it is. And it's no surprise when it got leaked, okay? What was he thinking? I think probably he's a bit of a narcissist. To be using his own name in emails when you've got that much on the table, and if you're going to mislead that, you'd think you'd be a little bit smarter about it. Probably shows his actual intelligence. But the guy's taken a fucking growth hormone to raise like 10 cattle. And that says something about it. It says in the email that you saw leaked that it was literally get as big as possible. I will take anything. He was spending around £15,000 on steroids. Yes, £15,000. And people believed it. People believed it. And does that come from a place of naivety? Does that come from a place of not understanding? And we've got to remember, like, as coaches and as we're in the fitness industry, we're probably the top 5% of people who go to the gym, train, understand nutrition. Everyone else, let's say normal people, aren't really exposed to steroids and all of that stuff as much as us. They are very much more on the sense that if someone says they are natural, they're natural. Let's take their word for it. And I do think there's something in humans that want us to believe people. We want to be like, yeah, this guy's done it naturally, and it gives them something to aim for. However, when the level of money comes in that this guy was making, he boasts about it all the time, narcissist again, it's going to be a no-brainer, okay? And I've always said to people who spoke to me about wanting to go on steroids, like, first make sure you're able to afford it. £15,000 a month, no one should be spending that much, let's gauge that. But let's say you can afford, let's say you want to as well, you actually want to. Why do you want to? First understand that. And is there a monetary gain, or is there a consistent monetary gain from you doing so, okay? And then I'd be like, yeah, go for it. Just make sure you get someone who knows what they're doing and they're not going to absolutely kill you. Because we've got to remember that money impacts the truth, okay? So he's got himself so far down the rabbit hole here that he couldn't come out, or he didn't want to, or he never believed that the truth would come out. We don't know which one it is, but I think he would have genuinely run with I am natural for as long as he could until this came out. He's making millions. So money talks, money creates truths, okay? And you've got to also realize that the fitness industry pushes people to extremes, okay? Like, no one remembers in the nicest way possible. Like, let's take myself, for example. No one remembers me as a bodybuilder because I was just pretty average. Do you know what I mean? I did well relative to what I could achieve, but with all due respect to myself, I was average. Do you know what I mean? But because he's so far in that extreme, everyone's talking about him. Everyone is engaged with him and he's getting that attention from the attention economy. Remember, his marketing was a deliberate plan that he set out in 2021, and now he basically took over TikTok and took over Instagram. So he felt, or he said in his kind of, opening up video, whatever that was, that he felt he had to go there. He had to go to this extreme. But I think, do you know what I mean? You could have just been honest about it from the start. And this kind of leads us on to the topic of steroids, okay? It's an interesting one because they've always been in the industry. Look at Arnold, look at Ronnie, look at everyone who anyone thinks about. Steroids are in the game, okay? That's just fine. And that is absolutely fine. I do not mind people taking steroids. The question remains, should it be an open debate? Because we're still forcing people into corners, dark rooms to do these things, okay? And if we look at other drugs that have been somewhat normalized, smoking marijuana, stuff like that, alcohol, you can improve the outcomes hypothetically by talking about it, by bringing it into the forefront of the media. But then you've got to think about whether increasing awareness increases the use, okay? And then I personally think, and I was talking to this with my friend the other day, I think it will follow like an inverted U. Most things, okay? When, and I do see this happening a lot more in the industry at the moment, which is a good thing, I believe. People being a lot more open about their steroid use. Yes, they might be using it for views, but do whatever you want, okay? If you want to risk your health for a few more views, that's absolutely fine by me. If you want to do it and you are open about it and you're not misleading anyone, great place to be, okay? You can start to educate people around the use. Of course, these people that are educating most of the time are not clinical doctors around hormones. So they are just regurgitating information from other people, which again, if that information is correct, is completely fine. But you've got to remember with hormone use, whether it's correct for one person might change if it's correct for another person, because how we react to these hormones is completely different, but that's a story for another debate. And I think with this inverted U, we'll see when people start to talk about it more, the use will go up. And then after a while, it will just drop off the curve, okay? And I think once we're coming up to the peak of the curve now, lots of people are being very open about it, which is brilliant. It helps improve education around it. And if we can keep improving the education around it, I'm sure the outcomes for people who do take them will be much better than if they just did it in their nan's toilet while they're having a Sunday roast. So the worst part for me about this whole situation is that in his I Lied video, it's just a pillock, isn't he? He linked it to suicide prevention. That is an absolute psychopath move, okay? You cannot link your choice to use and mislead that many people around the use of steroids to people's suicide and the fact that people's mental health is ruined. Because you know what's worse for people's mental health? People thinking that you're natural and them buying all of your shit supplements, taking them, training their ass off, sacrificing loads of parts of their life and never looking like you. The fact that you've done that to probably millions, billions of people, billions, I've over-exaggerated there, Alex, calm down. The fact you've done that to millions of people, for me, is almost worthy of some form of sanction. And I know we can't sanction people around this, but it's false advertising. It's misleading and it is dangerous. So just, yeah, well done, mate. You got what you wanted from it. You've got millions of followers. You've misled tons of people. You've made millions at the expense of people's kind of understanding. You've taken advantage of people. Overall, I think you're a capital CUNT and you probably don't care because obviously I'm just little like me. But I just think this is literally the epitome of the bad side of the industry. This guy claiming natural for such a long time, and obviously he isn't. Everyone knows, but the people he's exploiting don't know, and they aspire to be like him. And that, for me, is just an absolute no-no. So, a bit of a rant today. Bit of a rant. I've lost my head. I've had too much caffeine. It's a Sunday. I should be in church revising. But other than that, Liver King, if you ever get to this, well done, mate. You've had a really good innings. I think you should probably move on now and try and fuck up something else. But yeah, I hope you have a good day, a good life, wherever you're on this world. Thank you for listening. If you're on YouTube, peace. And don't forget to go over to the social media and the Spotify, the Apple Podcasts, get it going. But other than that, I'll see you in the next episode of Sparks the Conversation.